I doubt anybody's gonna come up and be like, "Oh, I see some glue there." Oh hey, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna pick up or continue with our Christmas gift videos series. Last time we made a snowman, before that we made a charcuterie board. Today we're gonna make a wreath. So to make this wreath, basically you saw in a previous video, I went out in the woods with a chainsaw and cut a bunch of different various size logs. One of them was a longer, thinner piece. And basically what I did, I took that log, came in here, and then cut a whole bunch of these little sections out. Cut them into, I'd say that's about 1/2-inch slabs, maybe a little thicker than a 1/2-inch slab. So thick enough that it's not going to break if you drop them, but not too thick where your wreath's going to weigh, 20 pounds. So essentially I kind of went in here and started kind of laying them out a little bit. But this is kind of what we've got so far. So this is what we've got so far. Basically cut out all these little slabs and I kind of laid them out and kind of laid them out in a way that looked kind of visually appealing. So I found some with cracks, some with, I cut them on angles. Some of them were on, as I cut them, the logs were kind of angled. So I tried to put the face of the log kind of facing where the person would be seeing it, essentially. So I've done that up to this point. I've kind of laid everything out. And from here, I'm going to glue it up and kind of get everything where it should be, solidify it up a bit, and then we'll go from there to decorate it. I got some of this fake Christmassy type stuff. I don't know that I'm going to use this or not. I might use a little part of it or something and put it off to the side or something here. We'll see. I've got some other stuff too laying around, so I'm not sure. So for now, I'm gonna try to keep my sections. I'm gonna try to do it in 2 sections, I think. I'm gonna try to glue the bottom half and then glue the top half, and see if I can kind of maintain that shape and go from there. Maybe I'll do half and I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out as we go. But this is essentially going to be what it looks like shape-wise at the end. I might tweak it a little bit here and there, but it's kind of it. So, all right, let's get started and we'll just we'll start gluing it up. You'll see in the background I've got a bunch of other pieces, some extras. So I cut a bunch of extras so I could make sure I pick the best looking ones that I want for this. I like these little check marks and stuff in it. I think they're kind of cool. They give it some character. So I picked the best looking ones I wanted to give my wreath character, and then the remaining ones I might make ornaments out of in another video. Just drill a hole through it, put a string around, and I've got some ideas for this. You can see I started playing around with the wood burner. So, this looks pretty horrible, but I started, kind of messing with it because I've never done it before. I'm what I could do on on this wood. How would it burn and stuff? So I did that. I made a little face in the back, which looks horrible, but I'm messing with it and seeing what I can do. I might even get the letters and do Merry Christmas or something. Would be kind of cool. Or Christmas 2022. would be kind of neat. So we'll see. I would really like to get a Mateo Outdoors brand and brand the back of them, but I don't think I'll have one in time for Christmas. So I've got those I might do. This piece here I might do something with. And these were just like, as the cuts were getting too steep, I just kind of straightened it back out to get straighter cuts. Then I got 3 boxes of wax that came in, so I'm gonna finish those candles this week. That should be plenty of wax to finish the remaining candles. So, okay, let's get started and get this wreath glued up. So I'm going to use Titebond Blue Premium Wood Glue. They do make a green one that's waterproof. If you're going to be putting this outside, like in the elements where it's going to be getting wet a lot, I would probably suggest doing that one. I don't know that it's waterproof, but it might be water resistant a little bit more. So I would probably suggest using that if that's the case. Okay. So to kind of start here, let's get a little more light on the situation. Start here, I'm going to remove the middle ones, kind of move them up, right? Try to keep somewhat of an order here. So these two are butted up to each other. And that guy I had right there. So I can glue him up like that and get some clamps on him. What I think I might do to make sure I keep my spacing and where I want it is to just draw a little line around here. I mean, once it's hanging, you won't even see that, to be honest, but that kind of gives me where I need to glue as well. So that should be good. I'm not worried about getting both sides here. I think just one side should be enough. Maybe I'll do a little bit on the sides here, just for good measure, right? Well, essentially, you don't want to have too much squeeze out if possible, because it's going to be harder to sand. I have already pre-sanded these. And the closer to each other that they are in thickness, the easier it'll be to glue up. They don't have to be perfect. You got a little bit of wiggle room, but they're going to glue up easier if you kind of keep that thickness consistent throughout. So basically, after I cut these, I took them out, sanded them on some 60 grit, which is enough for what we need. You don't need to go anything more than that. So essentially, we'll keep our positioning here. We'll clamp that down. I'm just gonna hold it in place for a minute. And then we're gonna put a clamp on it without messing it up too bad. That's not sure how we're gonna do this here. I'm just gonna adjust that so I'm back on my pencil lines and just give enough pressure, get a little bit of squeeze out all the way around. That'll tell us that we're clamping down fairly tight and getting good pressure. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave some of that glue just there, and then once it dries, it's a lot easier to get off, because if we're gonna varnish this, I don't want glue won't will show up a lot more on it. So basically I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to come through with a V-tool, or you can use a sharp knife, edge of a sharp knife, chisel, something like that, and just go in here and kind of chisel out that exposed glue that's going to be seen to everyone else. So far that is looking good. Mark my sides. That side did not mark. Put a little more glue. These clamps here are real cheap. They're on Amazon for like $4 each. They're not very big, just a little cheap F clamp. You can pick them up fairly cheap, or you can go and get these at like Harbor Freight or Home Depot. They all sell them, just squeeze clamps. These are like, I want to say 69 cents, 70 cents or something, maybe $1. Depending on where you're at, they're not much for those, and that's plenty of holding power for what you need here. In fact, I might just kind of use that for now. So we're holding strong there. I think I'm going to put a clamp around this guy. And that guy will go there. And that is looking pretty even. So I'm just trying to eyeball it. Like, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. I thought earlier too, might be easy to do, would be to like get like a 5-gallon bucket and build it around the bucket to kind of keep that circle, maybe. That might be a good idea. I don't know how you would do the center though, unless you made it fairly big, but something round, maybe even like a windshield washer fluid jug would be probably a good center size circle. You could do that. I wonder, I don't want to lose my place here, but so I was saying you could use, like this is antifreeze for an RV, but you could use like windshield washer solvent, same jug, right? Whatever you got. And you could put it like in the center and build around that, and that would keep the center at least round. Be an idea. Something. So, kind of clamp these two together. Got my line with my glue there. I'm going to kind of come in here now and clamp this one on. Squeeze clamps are a little easier, to be honest. And that's looking good with those two on top. That's starting to look pretty good. So, okay.
A few moments later.
So I wound up using pretty much half of the clamps that I own, basically all the small clamps that I own, and clamped this entire thing up. So it is a gobbled mess of various sized clamps and squeeze clamps and bar clamps and F clamps, and yeah, I even threw a few of those in there. So, but it is clamped up. And if you can see top down view here, pretty round still. So we're, from what I can tell, it is very flat. It's all on the same plane. I don't have any like huge warping or anything from what I can tell so far. This may have been a mistake to clamp it all up in one go, but I did it anyway. So if it's a mistake, I'll learn from it, but maybe I'll get away with it. So we'll see. I'm going to let this dry probably overnight, let it get pretty solid, and then I'll come back tomorrow, pull the clamps out, see where we're at with it. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat. I mean, it's hanging, off of a door, so but you want it as flat as you can make it. So I'll pull it out of clamps tomorrow, chisel off any glue, and we'll get some shellac on it and figure out how we're going to decorate it. So we'll be back then. All right, good morning. Our wreath has been clamped up overnight. It is ridiculously cold this morning, but get the heater on and we're going to get this thing unclamped. I think so. Last night when I clamped it up, it was probably 80 in here with that heater going, and it probably stayed fairly above freezing for at least a solid hour. So I'm not too worried about the glue freezing before it cured, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it unclamped and I'm going to take it inside. I should have brought it inside last night, honestly, but the thing, I was worried about lifting it, to be honest. So I'm going to get it out of clamps, take it inside, and let it just kind of sit in there and warm up for a little while, and just make sure that that glue is nice and cured before I start really kind of racking this thing a bit. So I have a sip of coffee here, which is just hot, and let's get these clamps off. Nice. All right, we're out of clamps and we're sitting like really flat, so that's cool. Let's see. Yeah, that clamped up really nicely. I mean, it's nice and straight, and we're holding strong. Now I'm not going to take it and try to really bend on it much, but you can see for the most part we don't have too much glue squeeze out, except right here. There's a whole bunch of it right in here, and I think that was mainly my fault. For when I clamped up the last one, I clamped this side and then it was too tight in here, and I was just like goobering glue in here and trying to shove my finger under there to get it. So that's going to take a little bit of cleanup before we can varnish it. But I think I'm going to sand the tops one more time. This guy cracked up a bunch, but he seems pretty strong. But yeah, I might sand it one more time to get at least the front sanded, and then I'm going to have to do some work in here to chisel that bit out of that glue, just because I don't want it to show. I could always put a bow or something in front of it, but I'm going to do what I can to kind of clear that out a bit. I'm probably not going to be able to get it all out, but I'll do what I can. At least if I can get this top part out, then it'll be okay. So, all right, but that is a log wreath glued up so far. So from this point now, oh, that's not a bad view either. Figure out which side you want. No, I like this side better. Okay, so from this point, we're gonna sand it. We're gonna put some type of finish on it. Still unsure. I was thinking about shellacking it at first, but now I'm more down. Last night I was sitting there thinking about it, going like, maybe I should stain it, put a little bit of a color on it. Something light so you can still see the grain, but maybe stain it. So what I might do is do a few test pieces on those other slabs just to see different finishes and how they come out. Okay, so I'm gonna go get this sanded. Actually, I'm gonna bring it in the house for a little while. Then I'm going to, hopefully on lunch today, I can come out and get this kind of top sanded again, and then we'll start talking about putting some finish on it. We'll be back. It's cold out. Okay, so it's been dried up. Put it in the house for a bit. Let it warm up, and then basically what I did, I came through with just a small, like 10 millimeter 3/8 chisel, and kind of came in here and scraped away a lot of the glue that was seeped out. So basically did that. It's pretty hard, so you can kind of go around the edges and just kind of like press up against it, and it just cracks right off. Becomes kind of brittle at that point. So you can basically just go around and clean it up as much as you want without trying not to put big gouges in. If you can't get in certain spots, then you know it is what it is. Depends how much you want to pick that out, but it's going on your front door, so I doubt anybody's going to come up and be like, well, I see some glue there. So it should be fine. So chiseled that out and then just took it out and put it on the orbital sander again for some 60 grit. But because this is like, you know, this log's been sitting out there and it's super dry and it's been sitting up in the air, not on water for the past several years, it is just, it's like trying to sand cement. But for the most part, it's smooth. It's got some saw marks in it, but I actually don't mind that. So depends on how much you want to sand it down, how smooth you want it. But I mean, for now, to the touch, it's smooth. There's nothing sharp that's poking out or gonna hurt you if somebody was to handle it. So I think we're in a state now where we can start finishing it. So I'm going to experiment on like one of these pieces or something. Actually, I'm going to do it on this piece because this is kind of junk. Can't do much with it. So I'm going to experiment on that. I'm going to shellac one side and I'm going to stain the other and shellac it and see which one I like more. Do I want some color in it or do I want the natural look? So we'll be back when I figure out what I want to do next. Okay, so I tested a few things. I tested some early American stain, golden oak, and then just plain shellac. I did shellac both of these after I stained them as well. So this is the, well, this side here is just the shellac on the log. And then let's see, this is the golden oak, and that's the early American, which are pretty much the same. This is a little bit darker. That's a little bit lighter, but I mean, it's end grain, so it just soaks it right up. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna go with my original thought and just shellac the whole thing and get it, put multiple coats on, get it nice and shiny and thick. And I think it pulls out the grain the best. So I'm going to go with that. I'll come back when I get probably several coats of shellac on our wreath. All right, so we're back. Here is the finished kind of varnished look. So it's got a bit of a shine to it. You can see the grain more. This is our wreath. The back I didn't do anything with, so it's just bare wood. I might oil this in the future, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe, but when I'm done, I'll put a little coat of oil on it just to keep it a little more protected. But this is our wreath. So now we're just gonna finish it by decorating it. So I went through the wife's bin of holiday decorations and found this bow. So I'm probably gonna wire that like down at the bottom here. Maybe like that or something. And then she had this greenery in here too, which I kind of like more than the one I had. So I might do that and put that kind of like here, right? Maybe staple it down there, hot glue it here or something. And then put the bow maybe like right there. I think that would look pretty good. Take my staple gun. Put that right over top. Now you never see it. All right, hot glue's warmed up. So I'm just going to find where this point touches here. Let's put a big old kind of gob of it here. And press down. Let that cool. Put a little bit more between the old glue and the new. Let that cure up. That's on. All right, so we got our greenery attached. Now it's just for this bow. I've got this little crack here in my center one that I put facing up. I kind of did that on purpose, knowing I was going to put maybe a bow on here. So basically I want to rest that wire through that crack. Should have probably done one on the other side too, but then you risk splitting it. Oh, I'm running out of gas on my heater. Let me grab some pliers. Okay, now this wire I want to be fairly tight, so I'm just going to grab and twist. And there we go. Bow's attached. So I kind of wanted to see a little bit of that log. That's why I use that crack to kind of go down there. But bow is attached. You can still see a log. Wreath is done. All right, so that's it for our wreath. This makes video 4 or 5, I don't know, I've lost count now, for Christmas gifts. But this one was a little more advanced, I guess, than the other ones, mainly just because of the amount of work you have to put into it. It's really tedious cutting the individual logs and kind of getting them all the same level. I'm not trying to deter you from it. It's definitely doable. I wouldn't say it's like an advanced thing to do. It's just a lot of cutting. If you have a bandsaw or a sawzall or something that you can be very refined on, could make it a lot quicker. But I did everything by hand sawing it, so it just took some time. But other than that, it's solid. It's glued up. It looks good. I'm happy with it. So, Christmas wreath. See you on the next one.